Welcome everybody to Telework and office space, flexible office space. We have a lot of things to cover today. With us, we have Mr. Jamie Jackson down in South Florida, right? Is that where you are now, or where are you?
No, I'm in Virginia.
You're in Virginia today. So
Yep.
yeah, he's in Northern Virginia today. Also has a place down in South Florida. But welcome today, Jamie Jackson with Metro Office's Federal Division. We want to welcome everybody that's decided to join us today. We have a bunch of folks that are from multiple agencies. A couple of the wild ones, which was interesting, was Selective Service System. I hadn't seen that one pop for a while. And but we just want to say thank you for joining us. We're glad you decided to do this today. And we will be talking about telework and flexible office space solutions, especially flexible workspace as a service is really what we're going to be talking about today. We'll give you some introductions to Jamie and let you know a little bit about him, talk about the briefing controls. We have some federal initiatives that just happen to be coming down on everybody's head, including COVID and issues and challenges and all those things. And we want to get your insight as well and talk about recommended action steps for you for being able to engage in flexible workspace as a service. And we'll get you some additional resources as well. If you would like to make Jamie, because he's wearing that nice jacket that he's got, and that he's got on today, you can make him bigger by dragging that little bar thing. If you haven't been on a virtual meeting in the past 3 months, I want to know what rock you're living under. But anyway, you can control this, and you can also open that panel on the side and communicate with us. We have handouts for you, and they include a FEMA white paper that was written. And this is extraordinary because I'm going to talk about a disclaimer in just a minute about endorsements and things like that. It is the closest thing to endorsement I've ever seen an agency write. Today's presentation and some memoranda from OMB. If you would like to communicate with us, you can raise your hand on the side. You can also chat us questions, which we've already been engaging with everybody this morning. So we know you know how to do that. And if you call it in on the phone, make sure that you enter your audio pin so we can unmute you and we can have that dialogue. If you have something in particular that you want to take offline, send it to govsupport@metrooffice.com. That's only 1-0, 2 F's, 1-0, metrooffice.com. And with that, I'm going to get to that disclaimer. This event is not affiliated or endorsed by GSA or any agency. Is provided to you, the audience, for informational purposes only. And participation in this briefing is voluntary, and engagement by government personnel is not an indication or endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor. But we will show you one that looks like one in a little bit. I'm telling you, Jamie, it is amazing. So we do have some polls. So why did you guys decide to join us today? Is it because you're interested in learning more about flexible workspace options? I have a need for workspace solutions outside of the norm, and we're going to be talking a lot about that, but what is normal and what is not normal. And you can choose as many as you want, I believe. I need to get office space quickly. That's one of the cool things about this as a process. And I'm interested to learn more about Metro Office, or my boss made me come. I know which one Leslie's picking. I already know which one she's picking.
None of the above.
None of the above. Your boss didn't make you come? Come on, that's funny.
I'm on the reconstitution team for my agency, and I am always interested in options as far as the flexible workplace thing. So I make it my point to get as much information as possible so I could be an asset to my agency.
All right. That's a very politically correct answer you got there.
Well, bask in my politically correctness.
Oh my gosh. All right. With that, we're going to give you 5, 4, 3. I promise it's painless. 2, 1, and 94%. That's great. Hold on. And we couldn't quite get that to 100%, but that's not bad. 88% are interested in learning more about flexible office space options. And the other one is your boss made me come. I love it. I love it. Love it. Thanks for joining us today. We do appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to talk about some federal initiatives. You got the Telework Act of 2010. How interesting is it that we're finally getting into the place where we're actually executing on that? OMB 2014, enhancing workplace flexibilities. That's where we started to see some of these germinate. And Jamie knows a little bit about that because about 7 years ago that you were talking to GSA. We'll leave that for another conversation, but bringing this up from a standpoint of being able to engage and work from home. OMB 2015-01. I don't know if that's actually 20, it's two, I don't know which one that is. But anyway, footprint reduction, they were talking about reducing the footprint. And then March of 2018, space utilization, which was capitalizing on that footprint reduction. And then we had this little thing pop up earlier this year called COVID. And next thing you know, all of these things which are becoming conflicting in the memoranda that are out there, and they're working to fix those even as we speak. We had Chuck Hardy on the last VFedCon a month ago that Jamie Jackson was part of as well. And he mentioned there are some significant challenges, obviously challenges of uncertainty. Nobody really knows where we are, how in this whole COVID thing. Challenging workspace requirements. In other words, you have to reopen, and how many people are you going to allow in at a time? How are you going to handle elevators? How are you going to do all the things that are necessary to make things work? And then you have telework as part of the new norm. So all those things and the connectivity of telework, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then he also talked about HR and attraction and retention and where people are going to work. Jamie, he mentioned one thing about where people work. What difference does it make? Got to hire the best people from where they are, right, Jamie?
That's right.
That's right. So, and then you have non-traditional lease requirements, emergency response, short-term leasing, things that don't fit in the normal package, and then contract vehicle restrictions, which is one of the reasons why we're here, is talking about an IDIQ that we were hoping to be able to announce, but it hasn't quite hit yet. So what are your agency's challenges in where do you think flexible workspace makes sense for your agency? Is it telework? Is it workspace, office on demand, or is it turnkey dedicated to your specifications? And we're going to talk about each one of these things in just a minute, because we have so telework, 100% of the people on telework so far, workspace on demand, and you probably don't even know about turnkey facility where you have dedicated to your specifications, but we're going to talk about that as well today. So we'll give you another 5, 4, 3. I promise it's not painful. 2, 1, and boom. And here's where we are, Jamie. 91%. Telework makes sense. I think we've all come to that conclusion. And then workspace on demand. Love it, love it, love it. So Jamie is here, as I mentioned. He is from Northern Virginia and Florida at the same time. He is headquartered in Reston. Tell us a little bit about Metro Offices, how you guys got started.
Well, Metro Office is an executive office. We've been in the business for 31 years, all here in the Metro Washington area. Our founder and CEO, Kathleen Buchanan, is one of the leaders in this office industry, and she has been for over 30 years. And so we have built a very strong business here in Northern Virginia. We have 9 centers located throughout the metropolitan area. But we also created flexible workspace as a service. And we have had the privilege of doing about $51 million in federal contracts over the last 10 years. And we've sort of been under the radar. Nobody's been talking about us, and that's fine. We've been doing it. We'll talk about it in a second. But we do both in public and the private sector.
That is fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why you're here, is because this is a hot topic, from teleworking all the way through to the permanent space. And here's the fact: the way people work is changing, even before we got into this crazy COVID thing. So tell us about how you view flexible workspace as a service, because that's kind of the new buzzword.
Well, that's exactly right, Dave. The way people work is changing, and that's in every business, every cycle industry that you can imagine. And it started long before COVID, because people were beginning to use technology and be able to integrate the way people worked for a seamless way, as opposed to the way they used to work. But then when COVID came along, it increased dramatically. the changing way people work. And even today, when most people are at home, it is amazing the amount of work that is getting done and the businesses and the industries that are continuing to operate in this pandemic that we're involved in. So what we want to do today is we want to give you 3 potential solutions to enable you to respond to these changes. Secondly, we want to assist your agency to meet its mission. We're not taking you off the mission. We're going to help you meet the agency's mission. And finally, we want to give you the flexibility to continue to adapt to change, because I guarantee you the way people are working today is going to be different in the future. We are in an ever-changing environment. So our definition of flexible workspace as a service is a strategic business solution that enables organizations of all sizes, both in the public and private sector, to remain flexible. That's the key word. To remain flexible as they react to the constantly changing workspace requirements of the agencies, their employees, and their contractors. I mean, just think about it. Up until now, a typical workspace was signing a 10-year lease, people moving in, ordering furniture, and they do the same thing every day. That has completely changed. And that, because agencies as well as private companies are finding that their business solution, the way they do business, continues to change. You could create a task force and put together 30 or 40 people. They got to have space and they got to have the ability to operate. That's what flexible workspace as a service provides you. So let's look at it. Let's look at these 3 solutions that we want to talk about today. The first one we want to talk about today is what we call flexible works, is called Telework Plus. To us, Telework Plus is the ability to telework, meaning you work at home, but also having the ability of the plus when you need certain things to be able to get it on an hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And we'll talk about that in just a second. The second solution we want to talk about is flexible co-working service IDIQ contract. As Dave said earlier, the GSA has put out for a solution for this IDIQ contract, and they have had bidders from across the country. They will be awarding this contract very soon. And what this contract is going to do is give you the ability to do daily, monthly, up to 12 months across the United States, the type of workspace that you need. And then the final solution is one that we've been doing for the past 10 years that we've developed. We call Workplace on Demand. And Workplace on Demand is very simply that we build out a space for you the way you want it. And these are for 2 to 5 year engagements for swing space, or you want to hire a bunch of people and you need a place to work, and it's much quicker and simpler to do it this way. All right, so let's break these down. If you're going to provide telework, people are deciding, do I work from the office or do I work from home? There are pros and cons to both ways. Pros of working from the office is more interaction, the ability to meet and access to better technology and equipment. But the cons is the commute time, the commute expense, the social distancing concerns, and that's particularly involved in how do I get to work, and finally the cleanliness concerns of once I get there. That's what's been created in a marketplace today. But working from home, you have pros. You have hours spent working. They have actually proved in the government that they are being more productive having telework by people working at home than going to the office. And people say you have less stress working at home. But there's cons. You have lack of privacy for a conference call that you want to do in a the dog is barking and the kids are running around. You have a lack of meeting space. You have unreliable internet, depending on where you're located, and you have personal distractions.
Yep.
Well, to us, Telework Plus is providing you the opportunity to work where you want, but get what you need. Next slide will show you that Telework Plus is a solution where privacy when you need it, access to meeting rooms when you need it, face-to-face collaboration when you need it, access to reliable technology when you need it, but home when you want it. So you can go online and schedule a conference room, go online and schedule an office, go online and schedule a workspace for exactly the time that you need it. Then go back home and work from home until you need that meeting space again. That's Telework Plus.
And the beautiful thing there is, and a lot of folks have kind of experienced this a little bit over the course of time, where that place for you is not necessarily have to even be the same place. It can be close to where you are. It can be close to where you need your meeting to be facilitated from. If you have a site visit that you have to do, all these things, the flexibility is really the key. And that's one of the things that Chuck was talking about as well, is just being able to pop in and pop out from multiple places, which is great. So tell us about this IDIQ that Chuck Hardy. For those of you who don't know, Chuck Hardy is the acting chief architect. He was working on this IDIQ before he became the chief architect. That's why we're referencing him. Go ahead, Jamie.
Well, the government is coming out with this IDIQ contract that's going to allow agencies to be able to buy space short term where they need it, when they need it. So if you have a group of people that you're from New Orleans and you got to go to Minneapolis for a meeting, you can go online and reserve space in Minneapolis. You're going to be there 6 months. You're going to be there 6 weeks. You're going to be there 1 day. You'll be able to go online and reserve space for where you are. The second thing that's very important, that just like Dave mentioned, is no longer will a telework person have to go to the office to get these things. They can get this closer to where they are. And through this IDIQ contract, you'll be able to tie up space for any period of time that you need, exactly the way you need it. And so you can get an office, you can get a conference room, you'll be able to get an open workspace, whatever you need, where you need it, when you need it. That's the beauty of this IDIQ contract that the GSA is bringing out to the marketplace. You will have a vehicle that you'll be able to buy this from. Then the last one is Workplace on Demand. I want to tell you about some examples of how we have done Workplace on Demand. The VA about 10 years ago got a substantial amount of money from the government, and they needed to get running, and they knew the traditional way would not work. It would take too long under a typical GSA process to get the space. They came to us, and we were able to get them in a space in 3 weeks for over 100 people. They worked with us for 18 months, and then they moved into a new building that the GSA built for them, but they were able to get up and running, and by the time they got to their space, they were flying. Similar, the VA came to us, and they needed space out in Maryland for a similar type situation, and we built them a brand new facility in 90 days. We built it out for 180 people, and we moved them in. The third example is we've been working with the VA since April of 2011 in Eatontown, New Jersey. And we have moved them around to multiple sites every time they needed to grow, but they have continually evolved that operation and we've been able to change and build and increase or decrease for them all the way up to 289 people. And that situation will end probably next year, because they're in the process right now, the GSA providing them a 10-year facility that's being built out for them right now. But we've been able to grow with them, and they've been able to work with us to meet their needs, and the VA needs out in the marketplace today. And then the last one that happens to be mentioned by Dave a while ago was FEMA came to us when Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey. They needed to be up and running. We got them up in 30 days, 240 people. They were with us for about 18 months, and then they were ready to shut the office that accomplished their mission. So these are examples that they did not come within somebody else's office and rent space. We literally built them out a facility exactly the way they wanted, operated on a services contract, and we operated it for them until their need moved on to a new facility.
And to your point, Jamie, one of the key pieces is we were doing research on this, and FEMA actually went to the VA and said, how did you do it? Because it was one of the classic examples of being able to flex into, and just the nature of an emergency, you scale up, you scale down. Sometimes you need more people, something else changes, and you have to have another 10 or 15 people. And a traditional office space environment just does not give you that flexibility. And there's a report in there that you can take a look at in just a minute. So what type of workspace, did I do this one already? All right. That was the one I was supposed to do. We'll do this one instead. So what are the challenges that you're trying to meet for your workspace for your agency? Are you dealing with COVID issues? I mean, there's all kind of issues there, and I think you can choose as many as you want on this one. I know Leslie called me out the last one, didn't work. What else do you need? Do you need to get office space faster than that? Do you need to scale up and scale down? A lot of folks need that. And I have a weird short-term lease requirement. So 100% so far COVID distancing issues. Obviously, that is a huge issue for everybody. Just let us know where you guys are. We do want to include you in whatever you have. Okay. So we'll give you another 5, 4. You can do it. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Here we go. Look at this. 100%.
Yep.
Dealing with COVID issues. Shocking.
Yep.
And then 20% need to be able to scale up and scale down, and something in between. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you very much for that. So let's talk about what.
Well, you know what's interesting, Dave, about that questionnaire that you just asked is you can read 15 different articles, and some of them are saying due to COVID you're going to have a lot of telework, but the other flip side is what are you going to do with the space that's your office space? And by the time you build in the social distancing within that space, you potentially will have a combination of telework and people going to the office. You can share offices. You can have social distancing at the water cooler or whatever, but you have to put all of that in place to fight during this time of the pandemic.
That's exactly right.
So let's talk about what we believe are the key ingredients for a flexible workspace going forward. The first is you need space. You need space the way you want it. The second one is you need technology, because by having the technology, you can use the space the way you want it. You need infrastructure, and that one is mostly forgotten by people, and I want to talk about that one. And lastly, we need flexibility. That's a key. Flexibility going forward. Your agency, your business is going to change. Under flexible workspace, you have no capital expenditures. We put up all the money. The agency doesn't put up any money. You have geographical coverage because you're going to have the ability to go anywhere in the country. You want to have the ability to have different economic options, 1 week, 1 month, 20 people, 4 people, whatever. And you want the ability to be scalable, because I guarantee you, if you say this task force is 15 people today, it may go up to 20, it may go down to 10. You need the ability to go up and down because the number of people going forward is not going to be static. And of course, we put our metro right in the middle because that's the name of our company. So these are the keys. These are the keys to flexible workspace. So let's talk about space for a second. The kind of space that you're going to want is going to be a fully equipped space. And you're going to have private offices. You're going to have multi-shared offices. You're going to have open workspaces. It's whatever you think is the proper way and the amount of different configuration that you want of the number of people. You want fully equipped space. Secondly, you're going to want fully equipped conference rooms and training rooms. More and more, it's becoming more important for people to be face-to-face together, to work through conference rooms and training rooms. And social distancing is going to become a big issue inside of these rooms going forward. How many people can you properly put inside these rooms? So that's space. The second thing is you're going to need technology. And the technology that we provide is you get a reservation system. And you can offer this reservation system to however many people you want. Have the ability to go on and reserve a room, reserve an office, reserve a conference room, whatever it is, they have the ability to reserve it when they need it. But in addition to that, not just a reservation system, we have to provide you a very strong internet capability to get into your agency systems. We're going to give you VoIP, so you have the ability inside the office to have voice over the internet. We're going to give you the ability to have video conferencing, Zoom, Skype, etc., and then the typical office equipment that you're going to be looking for. So you want this technology provided to you. The third ingredient is infrastructure. And infrastructure to us is everything behind the scenes. It's setting it up exactly the way you want it, but it's also setting it up to meet the requirements in this health issue that we're involved in. Personal sanitation measures, increased disinfectant protocols implemented, social distancing set up so you can see where you can stand or what office, how many people in an office or a conference room or whatever. All of the things that you need set up, operated, and run exactly the way you want it. You don't have to spend time designing it. You just tell us what you need, and we'll do that. And then lastly is flexibility. Now, these questions are very important. If you're considering you need space different than you have today, the first question you need to ask is, how long do I need it? 1 hour? 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years? How long do you need the space? The second question you need to ask is, what is the quantity? And both the quantity of the number of people and the quantity of the makeup of the type of workplace solution that you want. How many offices do you want? How many workspaces do you want? How many conference rooms, etc.? What is the quantity of the configuration that I need? The third is location. Where do I need it? Do I need it in Washington, D.C.? Do I need it in Dallas, Texas? Or do I need it in a suburb of New Orleans so the people don't have to drive to downtown New Orleans? Where do you need it? And finally, when do you need it? Do I need it in 30 days? Do I need it in 3 weeks? Do I need it in 6 months? So the answer to those questions will help you decide which one of the 3 potential solutions that we've talked about today. And let me just remind you of what those three solutions are. The first one is Telework Plus. If you tell us that you only need space 1 hour a week or 1 day a week, and you need a conference room or whatever, but I'm going to be working at home, I just need the ability to get out of the house to do some things, that's Telework Plus. The second solution is, do I need it on a routine basis? Or do I need it outside of the geographical area where I'm located today? That's going to be involved in this IDIQ contract that the GSA is bringing out. And thirdly, am I going to need this space for a considerable length of time? And I would like to have it configured exactly the way I want it, so no one else will be there, but just my agency. That's Workplace on Demand, and we can build it for you anywhere in the country. So those are the three solutions that we brought to the marketplace for flexible workspace as a service.
And that is awesome. And one of the things that I want to bring out is, if you open your session handouts on the right-hand side, there's a white paper from FEMA. This is written by FEMA, not written by anybody else and then put FEMA's name on it. They did a review of the exact pieces that we talked about earlier. And this is in the larger environment, but it shows the ability to operate with very agile, very flexible in order to do this. And one of the things that they said, here's where it started out with. They had an urgent need of space for 144 staff people, and it was fully operational within 60 days. They were in 30 days. Right, Jamie? They were actually in 30 days. It was Hurricane Sandy relief is what it was. If you remember when that happened, there was a lot of things that were going on. And what happened was FEMA went to VA and said, hey, what is the Veteran Affairs? They demonstrated the ability to do this twice. Those two instances were what you did for the VA in DC and in Eatontown. So those were the two instances. You can read about that internally. And here's really what happened here is they did a comparison of dollars and cents as well. And this is really important, because if you look at it from an agency standpoint, it's rare that you get this kind of combination. And they're looking at it from just the fact of being able of the authority to be able to do this contract vehicle is how that's written. So if you're in contracting, you're going to love this thing. If you're a lawyer, you're going to love it even more, because it's that type of document to say, hey, what is happening? And here we have the difference between 9 to 12 months and 1 to 2 months. You don't have time. FEMA does not have time to waste on anything when there's an emergency. If there's anything we know, it's that jumping in, getting things done, and that's why emergency contracts exist to begin with. The second is, if you take a look at the dollars and cents, if you're 12 to 18 months, 3.3 million, 3.4 million, and 3.21 million actual costs. This isn't fictional. This is actual cost that was done. And here's what they said: extremely flexible and only one contract to manage. If you're contracting, that's a beautiful thing. So then they also said it's an ideal solution for short-term arrangements. And the funny thing is that it was a short-term arrangement that you had in Eatontown with the VA that you're still in. How long have you been there, Jamie?
10 years.
10 years. And that's one of the reasons why they're looking at getting that taken care of. So here we also have where FEMA talked about FEMA has direct control. FEMA controls. So it goes to the level of control that you maintain in the agency, and that's good for your operations, for what you have to accomplish. And this is also it's the only reason they could do it in 1 to 2 months is because they had full control. And they said, hey, they empowered Metro to go and build it and make it so that they can do it. And there were some interesting things about that, and we can't go into a whole bunch of details, but just say that there were some challenges in building entry, especially with folks that were carrying firearms, because that happens when you're dealing with FEMA. A lot of law enforcement personnel. So here it is.
Dave, can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we did this FEMA project, this was through the GSA. And the GSA at that time did not have a capability of doing flexible office space. And so the GSA approved this deal. Today, the GSA is going to advocate flexible workspace. That's a big difference, but they saw how we delivered this, and FEMA was very, very pleased, and it met everybody's expectations.
And it works smarter, streamline your business practices. And the Edentown SRO is a good case study for facility acquisition process. So it's getting easier. It's getting easier. And when do you expect a workspace requirement? Is it going to happen right away? We're almost in Q4 fiscal year 2020. Can anybody believe that? I for one, cannot believe. Do you have something immediately? Q4 2020, fiscal year 2021, 2022. It can be any of those, or just not sure. It's okay. Any answer is a good answer. Just be thinking about when you think you will have a flexible workspace requirement, and it may be dependent upon your COVID environment as well. It could create something. So we'll give you a little bit there. We are going to get to some questions. We do have a few questions here, and you can open up that panel on the right-hand side, and you can start asking those questions. Let me open up the question panel. Where did it go? Here we go. All right, Leslie. Always great. Love it. So we did suck it up and present, Leslie. There you go. Yes, the presentation will be made available for afterwards, and we're recording it as well. All right, we're going to give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom. So there we go. Some have it immediately. A lot of things looking like for 2021, and we just appreciate you guys being here that aren't sure. All right, so we will open this up for questions. So let's see, who's got something for us? Anybody got anything? I did mention the presentation is going to be provided, and it will be also, we'll shoot that out to you, as well as the video for that. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then, do you have any references for the FEMA project or VA project, Jamie?
Sure, we can give you references. Yeah. Absolutely. If they contact me, I'll send them references to call.
Yep. Love it. So, so anybody else with any questions about that? How many people have experienced the flexible workspace as a service? Has anybody experienced that wanted to throw in on how that worked for your agency? Because many folks haven't done it yet because it hasn't been available yet. Then we'll get to that in just a minute because we want to get you out of here on time. So if you have any additional questions, please reach out to us and let us know. Meeting agency requirements. This is what's beautiful about this. Engage with somebody that's done it. Jamie's done it, and you can engage with the FEMA folks and the VA folks. They have both done it. And Jamie, you have a couple of contacts up in Edentown that know it inside and out, right?
Yep.
So. And then you can use the GSA IDIQ when it is available. We're hoping that comes soon. And then, until then, you're going to have to use alternative procurement options. It was a lot of hoops to jump through to do both the FEMA and the VA from a contract standpoint, wasn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, but it's going to be much simpler going forward when to decide the IQ.
Yeah.
But yes, we went through processes to get there.
Yep. But you know how to do it as well, including reps and certs. If you're not familiar with reps and certs from the GSA, those are pretty intense, and you guys can meet all of those, I know, as well. So request a tour. If you're interested in taking a look at it, you can see how things are laid out. Request a tour, and then you can survey your employees. This is one on the HR side that we're finding more and more people are willing to work differently now, whereas 4 months ago, they were not willing to work differently. See where their needs are today versus where they were then. So survey your folks and then watch for those updates and recommendations from OMB and CDC, because they are changing regularly. And some of those are already in your handouts, so you can download those. As far as procurement options, if you do want to secure anything from from Metro offices. They are woman-owned small business, and there's their information, and they're waiting on the award for the IDIQ. It is coming out. We're hoping that that we learn more about that in the next few days, and we will update you on that. And then if you need any socioeconomic partners, GSA contract holders, 8A, Hub Zone, service disabled, not a problem, because they will build the relationship or have the relationship using your people, building a relationship with the folks that you know and that you like, or working with some folks that they do. You will have a recap email next week, early next week. You have a link to the video, the presentation, the FEMA white paper, the OMB memos that have been out, as well as supporting documents that we've reviewed today. There's several that we couldn't attach because we could only attach 5, so we did the OMB memoranda. And with that, we want to thank you guys for joining us, and we will get you out of here on time. Thank you very much, Jamie. Awesome information, and we will look forward to following up with you folks and getting some additional insight from your agencies on what you need, because that's the thing. We want to figure out what it is that makes the most sense for you, and where Jamie and your crew can help. And how much does it cost to talk with you, Jamie?
Free.
That's right. That's my favorite 4-letter word, free. So absolutely. Leslie, thank you very much for all of your participation. We do have one more. Don't forget to mention there's a handout box where they can get some of the handouts. We got it, Leslie. It's right there on the right-hand side. Catherine, you are welcome so much. Thanks for joining us. And we appreciate you all being here. And Leslie and Catherine were both early birds. We saw the behind the scenes thing, so we're glad that you decided to stick around for the rest of the show. So thanks, guys. Jamie, thanks again. It was great. And we will see you next time. Thanks much, guys.